all the things that they don't tell you about anxiety or don't want to talk to you about anxiety and depression. This is gonna be a hard video for me only because it's not an easy subject to cover for anyone. So I'm just gonna cover it for you and kind of explain it the best that I can. So before anyone says anything about this, this isn't me being consumed in depression and anxiety. It's announcing it as its existence. It's me realizing that it's there. By currently having depression and extreme anxiety, I just wanted to talk to you about the things that they don't tell you about it. When you have depression and anxiety, no one's really gonna tell you about it, and I can give you a gist of what it is and how to distinguish yourself with it, if that makes any sense. I have personally had depression and anxiety since I was 7 years old. I am not going to get too much into that. I'm not quite ready to tell the story of why, but I can tell you that depression is hard. And I don't mean that in a ironic way. I mean that in a way where it's hard to deal with. And depression actually runs in one side of my family, and people in that side of my family struggle still to this day with it. And it's something I had to kind of understand and cope with, even when no one else understood. It's something you have to understand yourself and not seek anybody else's approval for it, because depression doesn't need approval, it comes when it wants. There's no real way to get rid of depression, unfortunately. If there was, I wouldn't still have any. But there is a way to help yourself by reaching out and getting help. I know that might sound old at this point if you have asked other people. It took me a very long time to ask for help because I felt so independent within what I was doing, and I felt like I was my own person within my depression. And at some points I didn't even admit to myself that I had depression. It's hard to admit to yourself that you have it. And one of or many of the actual stages of my depression was me feeling sad almost all the time, me bursting out in angry fits every once in a while, or just feeling angry most of the time, but not really trying to show it to people. I'm pretty sure I showed it to people, but I knew how to control it to some extent. And I would constantly worry about absolutely anything, and worry that something's gonna come up out of the blue. And then for me, it was me not eating enough, or me overeating, and me just being or feeling defeated most of the time, me not wanting to do much. And it was hard because I didn't know what that was. When I was younger, or like 7 years old, you don't really know what depression is, nor would you really want to. That's a very harsh topic to talk about with a 7-year-old, so it's not like I actually knew what was going on with my mind and my body. I was very confused, and I would lose sleep, or I would sleep too much. I wouldn't want to do anything. My mind was blank. Sometimes I felt really sad, really angry, all the stage of depression I had. And that's something you need to realize. Now, if you have angry fits and you're angry all the time, that doesn't necessarily mean you have depression. If you have one of these things, doesn't necessarily mean you have depression. It's a stage of your life that you will realize when you have it and how you have it and how you cope with it. I can't tell you how to cope with it. You have to understand how to cope with it yourself. Not everyone will be there for you. That's something you need to know. Not everyone will be there for you. You have to realize that you need to love yourself in your own skin, and that's something I struggle with every single day still. It took me, like I said, it took me a very, very long time to get help. And unfortunately, for the people I was living with, they did not believe that I had anything wrong with me, so I was not able to get help at that time. But now that I am an adult legally and I moved out of that home, I'm able to get help. And if you are in that same position, I'm sorry, but I can tell you what I did to cope with mine, so that way maybe it will make it a little easier on you. My way might not be the best way for you. My way was probably more damaging to me than anything else. I did specialize school and schoolwork to distract me from depression. And I know that sounds like something you might not want to do, but I am a workaholic. I struggle with that every day, and it's not something I can get rid of. But I did a lot of work, and the more work you do, the more you're distracted and the more you don't really think about it. And I spent nights and whole days just doing something to get my mind off it, and that's actually a really good way to kind of help you cope with it. You need to do something that you like a hobby that takes time out of your day, whenever you have free time, to help you not think about it. Because I felt like that helped the most, because obviously you're not thinking about it, you're distracted. And you won't have time to think about more than one thing while you're doing another. Do something that you can't really multitask while thinking as, because I know most women, or most people I know are multitaskers, and they do it every day. So try finding something that you are not able to multitask at. Another thing that not everyone tells you, but is very stereotypical: no one will understand. No one. Unless someone is actually walking in your shoes every single day, knowing every single step of your depression, no one will truly understand. And it's hard to admit, I'm sorry, but it's something you need to know in order to grow your skin thicker. And I personally know this because I went through it. And if you've had depression and you know someone that has depression, I'm pretty sure they can tell you a time when someone did not understand. And it's tough, and it's heartbreaking, and you feel so defeated because no one understands. And I get that every single day. And it's really hard for me because I want people to understand. and I want them to know what I went through. And it's hard to explain to everyone why I feel the way I feel because they're not me. And unless they're me, they're never gonna understand. I mean, they can get a gist of how I feel, but they're never gonna go through my shoes and fully go through what I went through for the time being of my depression. They're never gonna do that. So it's something that took me a long time to accept because I was looking for answers in people that I shouldn't have been looking answers into. And I was trying to look for acceptance and people that maybe have went through my shoes, or me knowing that I was the only one that was going through this, because I felt so alone, but I didn't want help, nor did I go out and ask for it. And I knew how to hide it in a way where people wouldn't question it, and people actually thought I was really genuinely happy. Another thing people don't tell you is that depression can really hurt your future, and that kind of speaks in itself, and it's very obvious. Depression is not a nice thing. It's never going to be nice to you. Depression just brings your hard thoughts into your mind and makes sure that you know how terrible of a person you are, how much you are not worth it. All those thoughts are going through your head, and for most people, or for some people I should say, they can't handle it, so that leads to something I won't cover, and I will never cover. But it's hard to know that depression will never fully go away. You can treat it all you want, but the memory still stands, and unless there's a memory eraser that can individually erase some memories of yours, there's no way you're gonna fully get rid of your depression, because it's always gonna be there in the back of your mind, reminding you of that time. But a really good thing about that is that even though it's still there in the back of your mind, at least it's not in the front of your mind like it used to be. And I do encourage you get help if you can. And I know that you maybe might not be able to. If you're watching this video, you either have depression, know someone that has depression, or have had depression, or think you're going through it, or don't even know if you have it. And it's confusing to describe if you're going through a different depression than everyone else. Because my depression is different than yours, and it will always stay that way unless you have lived my exact life, which no one has. From minute to second, doubt it. So, another thing that no one tells you about this is that once you kind of get a gist of what goes on in your head with depression, your skin becomes thicker, and you learn to become independent, and you want to work alone most of the time. You don't want to interact with people. And that's how I was, but I was genuinely shy, so it didn't really help my case. But things have changed. I've met people that really encouraged me to go out there and socialize with my personality. And I suggest meeting those kinds of people. Going to people that have a great social way, social butterflies, not necessarily people who drink or do drugs, because when depression hits hard, it's easy for people who don't understand their own depression to submit themselves into drugs or alcohol. And it's something my family struggles with to this day. And I know for me that my family struggles with addiction in general. So it's smart for me to know this before I go out and do something dumb with my choices. And I've learned to be very smart with my decisions when I'm thinking through my depression. So, let's move on to anxiety. And if you have any other questions about depression, and you don't want to share, I will link my email down in the description below, and you're more than welcome to email me about something, because if it's something about depression, I have most likely been through it, and that might be unfortunate for me and for you to hear, but it has its perks, and I've been through a lot, and I'm pretty sure I'm humble enough to help you with that. So for anxiety, and if you have any questions with anxiety as well, don't hesitate to ask. This one's gonna be hard for me, but I wouldn't say it's harder than depression. I'm glad I got that one out of the way first. But anxiety is hard, and it will stand in your way. It will try to drag you down, for sure. It's a hard fight, and you're struggling every day. You're always watching your back, always worrying something might happen to you, always worrying about every little thing. Everything you have, you try and put in place in your life, and you become very anxious and on your feet or on your toes all the time, and it's annoying, and you realize it, but you just can't seem to stop. That in itself is anxiety. And for a normal person, there is anxiety. But for me, I have an extreme case where it actually causes physical health problems. And if you leave anxiety untreated for a good amount of time of your life, it will affect your body negatively, and you will physically hurt. Not just mentally, you will physically hurt. And it has caused me to have extreme flare-ups in my ribcage and sternum, which the doctors have told me is bone inflammation. And it's something I struggle with every day. I have to take a bunch of medication for it. I have to take anxiety meds and the bone inflammation medication. And it is hard because sometimes I forget, and when I forget, I don't want to forget again because it hurts. It gets to the point where sometimes I couldn't even wear a bra. And my bras don't have wires, they're t-shirt bras. So it hurt. And it's not just one rib, it's the entire rib cage. Just keep this in the back of your mind when you're thinking about your anxiety. Perfect moment. A cat. Everyone needs a cat when they're feeling stressed. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Come here, baby. So, when you're thinking of anxiety, and just keep that in the back of your mind, because anxiety can get bad, but it can get so much more worse if you don't fix it. And once you know you have it, you will know. I don't need to tell you if you have it. You will know, because I knew. And it is an extreme case of stress. Stress and anxiety hold hands. They're more or less the same thing, and they both suck. If someone tells you that stress and anxiety are a great thing and they're happy that they have it, they're wrong. Because they suck. They're lying. But it's easier for you to accept that you have it rather than ignore it. Because when you know you have it, you come to accept it, like I have. And I actually use it to my advantage. I use it to help me get work done. But there's also a lazy side to me, so I am able to balance that. And I use more of my laziness to overpower my anxiety, which really helps me. And that might sound like a bad thing, and I'm not being extremely lazy. Don't let your laziness take over your life, but let it take over more than your anxiety, and it will be worth it. And it takes time. All of this takes time. Time heals. And once you get older, you get wiser with your own body and your thoughts. If you think too hard every day, if your steam is out of your ears, you're gonna run out of steam, and you're gonna lose your marbles. Just take life easily, and don't worry about the little things. Worry about the worth it things. Make a vision board. I made one, honestly. That's the vision board right there. It's a 5-year plan. And there's not a lot on there. As you kind of saw, I have all the things that I want to accomplish, as well as my boyfriend wants to accomplish in 5 years. And if we want to add more things on the vision board, there is so much space on there. And it helps you, because when you come into the room that you most come into during the day or during the week, you see it and you know that's what my goals are. And I don't have to worry about that, because my goals are right there. And it's a constant reminder of why life is so worth it, and what you're saving up for, and why you're worth it. I do want to tell my story. It is very hard to tell you. Not only is it hard to tell you because it's difficult, because that's where my depression came from and my anxiety, but it's also a very, very long story. And if you're interested, let me know, but it won't be for a while, because it's definitely different parts in video, like a part 1, part 2, etc. So I will do that in time. And I do want you to know, with depression and anxiety, take life as slowly as you can, because there's no reason to rush. And it's something I need to learn too. So I hope you found this at least a little bit helpful. I do want to mention that my case is really severe, only because I have PTSD because of my childhood. My teachers when I was younger told me that I have ADHD, but my therapist told me that I have PTSD, so I just wanted to put that out there, that if you're struggling with that, know that you can come from anywhere to get that, and it doesn't mean bad things. And it doesn't mean you're a bad person or you can't start over, because you can. You're capable of anything. And I believe in every single one of you. And I know that you can do it. You can accomplish what you want. I am definitely trying to do that. And I know I will. I'm trying my hardest. I'm taking all the right steps, and I hope that you do too, because we're all in this together. So have a great rest of your day, if there is a rest, and I will see you in the next video. And please let me know if this was helpful, or if there's something else you want me to cover. Bye.